Good morning, Judy here from Thistledew Creations. Today I'm going to do that scrap video that Brenda Clark from The Simple Crafter tagged me in, kind of challenged me to participate in this hashtag giveascrap, it was initiated by Angela, the traveling crafter. So I thought I would do a quick little run through of a few ideas. It's certainly not all of the ideas for using up your scraps, but it's the ones that I do most often. Let's say that. So one of the things I love to do with my scraps is to decorate envelopes. So this is a large envelope that I received some Happy Mail in, and I'm in the process of covering it with scraps. This is a bunch of scraps that I probably created about 2.5 years ago and never used. So I've got this one pretty much covered. I just have to put a new flap on the envelope. So I may not even do that until it's time to send it. But that's one way I do it, and we might do one of those later. And then some of the other ways that I typically try to use up my scraps is the paper weaving. So this is strips of music paper that I've woven into a piece of paper, and then all I did on this one was some gold splatter. I don't know if you can see the gold splatter or not, just with some gold paint. So that's a lot of fun to do, and I like the texture that it gives. So I've done it with plain papers that are torn off the edges of book pages, and in this case I had strips of music paper to play with, so I did that. Master boards, of course. I didn't make this one. I received this one in a swap, but I just wanted an example of one to show you. And so you just get a piece of cardstock or any kind of paper. I will often use like the papers that you get, junk mail paper, especially if it's plain on the back. I will collage over the top of it, or a page out of a magazine would be good to use. You can always back it with coffee dyed paper. So you might take a magazine like this, one of these free real estate magazines. They have pretty thick pages, like thicker than like a magazine you'd buy on the newsstand. So they make good thick, like a cardstock product at the end, especially after you put another piece of paper on the back to make. I usually like a plain back on my master boards because I'm usually making tags or ATCs or journaling cards out of them. So I usually want a plain back for those reasons. But this one is really nice. Just a random bunch of scraps and a few little tags and tickets and stuff on top, a few little pictures, and then gold splatter, and it looks like maybe some either with brush or sponge or something. And then also some white, I think this is stenciling, the white dots. It's a little more regular looking, but yeah, I love making master boards, and you can use them for so many things. Another thing that I have for using up scraps is my glue book, and basically this is just a book full of master boards is all it's ending up to be. So I started this book one morning at 2 a.m. when I couldn't sleep, and I did this page, just opened up the drawer where I keep my purple scraps. And this piece was in there, and that's how the green got in the mix. I really love this paper. I don't even remember where it came from. But so then I covered the back of that page with coffee dyed paper with a little bit of minty blue green on it. So when I'm ready to cut that up, that's ready to go. This is a page that I started when I'm doing any kind of cutting up of magazines. I'll save certain things, like I save sky, I save water, I save fall leaves, I save trees, mountains, certain things that just appeal to me, I will save them. And so what I've done here is I've started to make a master board of all sky, and I just saved this one this morning from a piece of paper, so I thought I would put it down right here. And I just like the way that I get all the different blues, all the different clouds. I've got one moon in there. So I think that's pretty cool. And then different color themes. One that's more like a journaling page that you see people doing. This one too, it's more like There's a little bit of collage in the background and then a focal point. So you can really have a lot of fun with using up your scraps that way. This was a whole bunch of just pictures of flowers that I had cut out and just never used them. So I thought one day I'm going to use them. I have a little space down here that I still have to fill in. So that's a fun way. I've just sort of started it as a book, and I can pull out a page whenever I want to and use it. So that's what that idea is. And then my cluster book, which you've probably seen, or you can go back and watch a couple different videos of my cluster book. And this is just a notebook that I picked up at Giant Tiger, spiral notebook, lined paper, and I just do clusters in it. And I just leave them in there. That's a great way to store them. So these ones I think are pretty much done. I mean, I might add some buttons and three-dimensional things when I take them out. I don't put those kinds of things in the book because I want it to be able to close. And I've done flip throughs of this, so I don't need to show you the whole thing, but just, it's a great way to use up your scraps at the end of a project, is just to glue them down in this book. And as you get to the back, there's some clusters that aren't as complete. Some of them only have 1 or 2 layers on them. And then at the very back, there's some where I've just basically started them and haven't really added anything to them yet. So that's a great way to use up your scraps. Here's a page where I just collage the whole page with strips and little bits. And I like the way that this one has lots of different colors in it. Some of my strip collages are pretty monochromatic. This one's a little more interesting. And there's one I did with all the different colorful scraps from my tie-dye paper. And there was some inking paper there too. But that's a great way to make a very colorful masterboard. And those were tiny scraps. So great way to use up scraps is to make a cluster book. And then, like I said, one of the things I really love to do is decorate envelopes. So today I've pulled out some envelopes that are partially decorated just to show you. So this was a junk mail envelope that the flap, had been used in a letter opener to open it, so it just has a straight top. I was starting with a bunch of red scraps, and I ended up putting some horses, ended up putting a poppy for Remembrance Day. So I will probably put this in my fall box and bring it back out at the appropriate time. Send happy mail in it or something. And here's one I started with more cartoony bits of pictures that I found. So it's not finished yet, so I'll just keep them handy until I find appropriate scraps for them. But today what I thought I would do is a snippet roll. And there's a bunch of ways you can do snippet rolls too. You can start with a strip of, you can do it with fabrics, papers, or a combination of the two. I think I'm going to start with all paper because I really want to bust these paper scraps is the main goal of participating. So one thing you can do is long receipts. This would be long enough for most journal pages if you wanted to do the edge of a page or a belly band or whatever. So that's a decent size to do a snippet roll on. And then another way that I've thought of and haven't done yet is double-sided tape. So I'm going to cut off a piece of double-sided tape about the same length as that receipt. And I'm going to put the part that still has the backing on it down so that the sticky side is facing up. And I just brought out some stickers to stick it down to the table. And all this confusion this morning, I don't know where the stickers went. So I'll just grab some tape. Tape my tape to the table just so that it doesn't move around on me. I think it's all in screen. And I'll do the same with this one just to make it less likely to be working out a screen if I've got it in screen to start with. This is something that's easy to do in front of the television. So I've got boxes of scraps here. Now, one thing that's helpful too to know is if you have idle time and you can sort your scraps by size and or by type, you might find it a little quicker to do this kind of a project. Certainly not necessary to do it, but I'm going to be sifting through quite a mixed bag of sizes and shapes here with this box. This one's all pretty small stuff, so it's good. Because what I want to do is sort of start with the bigger stuff, like for instance, pieces of paper bag. I might just want to start filling in the background with things like that, and larger pieces of paper. I've got some torn edges, some they're all torn, but some of them are straight and some of them are curved. So I just want to scatter this paper out along the length of the project. And I'm going beyond the ends because you can always trim it to whatever fit you need later. And of course that's just sticking right down because this is the sticky side of the tape that's up. And then on the other one, I'm going to need to use my glue stick. So I'll just put a little glue down and stick a piece on, sort of start off the same way. And then I think I'm just gonna grab for bigger pieces instead of sitting here sorting. Now that's probably not a good idea to put that one down. It's probably gonna get mostly covered up, but we'll just go with it for now. It's what I've come across, so I'm gonna use it. And like I say, you can put the glue stick on the back of the piece or on the front of the receipt. Doesn't matter which way you do it. And it's going to be, I like to have things overlapping. And I don't like things going all different angles. I did try some stuff like that at first, but I didn't really care for it. So I've started to do more overlapping, but sort of all going in straight lines. And it somewhat depends on my mood, to be honest. Sometimes I will want to do things on angles. It's just the way I'm feeling that day or whatever. And I also think it helps to have more than one on the go, just because I might find a scrap that's particularly good for one that wouldn't work for the other. And I've got more of this pink, so again, I want to sort of spread it out along this piece, alternating sides, and so sort of a 3. We've got 4 here. I might come across another little piece that I can use of the pink. There's a piece here. Doesn't really need it though, because I have more pink down here. But I'm going to put this little plain piece of pink up here. And again, it's an odd one. I'm going to leave the end of it sticking up over there so I can stick something in underneath. And again, these smaller pieces, I'm not really ready for them yet, so I'm going to put them over in the other side here. Kind of sorting as I go, but not. See, now something like this, I'm tempted to use it because it's the size I'm using, but it's more something that should be on top. So once I get, like here, I could put it up here, but that's not a great focal point spot. That's probably going to be cut off. So I'll wait on that one and just hang on to it. I've got some green here. This is bits from the front page of a ledger that kind of shows you how to use the ledger book. So I'll just create smaller scraps with it. And again, that's the scrap busting conundrum always. You're trying to use them up, but you end up creating more. And I'll just kind of do the same thing. Keep a green beside the pink. And another piece for up at the very top here. I'll try to find a way to kind of pull a theme together with your scraps. Quite often, if you've got scraps from a project, they're going to kind of coordinate already. I have this box of scraps that's mostly the lined paper from the strawberry journal that I made for my cousin Diana. I think it would go well with this pink. So I'm going to put some of it in. Trying not to cover that branch up. Kind of like it. And then you might have some that are more like cardstock, like these are out of an industry magazine with very thick pages, but the color's great on them, so I just cut them into strips. So I think this blue would go good with this. So I'm going to use it here. Just take that bit off. Put it in the tiny scraps box. I'm trying not to get my fingers too messed up, gluey. And try not to think about it too much. So the green and the orange I'm going to save maybe for another project, I think. And these green bits, I think I've got enough green on this, but if I need more, I know where it is. So let's see what else we've got here. We've got some blue, looks like it's carpet or something. It'll go with this. I just love this blue sort of wood grain paper. There's more of that if I need it. And then these yellow strips, I took apart a, I don't know if it was an address book or something like that, and I made a bunch of tags with the paper. That was the background for all of the pages. Oh, it was a photo album. That's what it was, because it had the clear plastic pieces too that I saved. But this is lovely paper. So I'm just gonna cut some strips of that and get them put down on here, because I think that goes well with the pink stripes and the green. And there's a little bit of yellow in that. That kind of goes across. And a lot of them were folded. It was a different type of binding, and this was part of the binding. That was a TV project, but I might do another one similar to that on camera, just so I can show you how I salvage things out of books like that. I find it a lot of fun to do. Here's a great scrap with a little bit of a purple ticket on it. Put that right there. Actually, I want that out where it's not likely to be covered, because I can see myself putting things down through the middle in the end, little bits. So here's some pink that'll go well with this side. I'm going to cut it into at least 2 pieces to get it spread out, in case I don't find another piece of it. There might be another piece of it in here, I don't know. So there's a piece of like a sunset sky. I'll save that for another project, but that's an awesome scrap. And here's some more yellow. You can include that on this one. It's sort of a trellis design. Piece of it up here. And a piece of it down here. And then another piece of it, kind of bridging the gap on those 3 things. And I've got one more piece of that. Actually, I'm going to put that. I didn't use any more. I've only used one piece of paper bag. Oh, that's too close to the other one, isn't it? I'll just save this for a minute. I need to put more paper bag. So I'll put a piece down here. Because paper bag is something I definitely do need to use up. I've been gluing these and I didn't really need to, because it's sticky. keep forgetting. So that's pretty scrappy looking. And then you need to do something to kind of tie it together to unify it. I've got all of the, oh, I don't have all of that covered. Let me see. I've got something else pink. Here's a similar type of thing, just a little strip of pink floral. Don't have much of that at all, but I've got a couple of spots here that it can go. Mix some in with this blue stuff. And sometimes when it's not looking good, you got to just keep going. You'll hear a lot of crafters say that. Just keep going, it'll get better. And I believe that. Piece of this here. Need something right here. I guess I could use more of this lined paper, but it's too close. Don't like two things right beside each other that are the same. Doesn't do it for me. There's some pink. Oh, that's that same paper. I could use a bit of that. Where? Down here. Some right there, even though that's pretty close. I'm going to have something in between them. Let's see, I need something here. And it should be, it could be yellowish. I've got some yellow, it's yellow with writing on this side, and it's part of a map on the other side. I think I know where there's more of that map, so I'm going to use the map. That's kind of a wonky, weird piece. I have a drawer with all map in it. I thought there might be some in there, but I don't see it. I'll just use my pile here. Oh, there's a piece. So just so that it's not the only piece, I'm going to do another one up further of that same green. And I can see a little bit of the receipt showing through up here. I'm going to put it there. There, and then there's a little bit of receipt showing here. Piece of yellow map for that. So that gives you then a belly band, the base for a belly band at least. This one's a little narrower. And so then what you do is maybe some postage stamps, maybe some buttons. See what I've got for postage stamps handy here. These are just ones I've been saving for the last week or two. When I get them on Happy Mail, I always save them. So let's see here. We've got bunnies and wine, or grapes. A Canada one with pink around it with orange in the center. And I will need my ripple scissors for this. Want to trim a little bit off of these. I know that's making more scraps, but at some point the scraps do go in the bin. Now this stamp has been completely covered with tape, so it's shiny, but I'm going to use it anyway. I'm not inking anything today either, you might have noticed. So I think this one will look good on here. I'm going to put it up here so it kind of covers up a little bit of that brown paper. And then what's this one? This one's a snowman. I think I'd like to save winter and Christmas ones and put them in my Christmas box. So I'll set him up there. There's a nice Canadian scene with a lighthouse. I'll put this one over here with the blues. And I like to put them kind of over the joints where 2 or 3 pieces of paper come together. That's where I generally will put sort of a focal point. And now this pink is a little bright for both of these, so I think I'm going to set it aside. Sunflower one, that could go on this one that has the yellow and the greens. And so I'm making sure that I'm not directly underneath the one I did before, so it's kind of staggered. And now this one has some of the envelope attached. I'm just going to trim it, not all the way off, but I'm going to trim some of that off. I'm going to leave this rough torn edge over here because I think that's interesting. And where am I going to put this? What is this, beaver? Yeah, it's a pair of beavers. There's 2 of them. Because of the yellow backing and the sunflower that I used up here, I'm going to use this one on this page. So I want to put it, again, off to the other side. And then we've got Stan Rogers, Canada stamp. He must be a singer. I don't know him, but he'll go on the blue. I'll put him down here. This is a faux postage stamp, but I'm going to use it anyway. And I'm going to use it over here with the pinks. These are more floral. I'm going to put it there. Looks good with the yellow and the green and the brown. And it's touching the pink as well. This one looks like, well, it's Deutschland, and it looks like a house made out of an envelope and little turrets made out of pens. That's really neat. I never noticed that. It kind of is giving me Christmas vibes, so I'm going to put it like gingerbread house vibes, so I'm going to put it there. Now this one's really pretty. This is Aurora Borealis and Deutschland. And there's a little bit of some of the cancellation stuff there. So I'm going to put that on here, I think. That's really striking. Again, just putting it over the joints between those 4 papers. And then this one is a post box, Deutschland again. Correct me if I'm saying that wrong. And some yellow flowers. So I think I'm going to put that on this one. So that isn't even a touch of my stamp collection, but it's the ones that have been kind of hanging around. Now this is a winter scene with 2 squirrels and an acorn, so I'm going to put that with my Christmas ones as well. So that's some stamps. The bunnies, I might just leave them in my Easter box because it's going to be stored away here soon, and will be my last chance to put something like that in there. So bunnies didn't make the cut, but all these other stamps did. And then we can do either some bling or some buttons. Let's see what I've got for bling. I've got this little tray. It's mostly paper clips. There's another little scrap of paper. Only 1 button, and it's a shank button, so that box isn't going to help me. In these little drawers, this little jewelry box drawers, I have really blingy stuff, so I don't know if that's what I want on here. It'd be nice to use some of it up, but it's not really the right vibe for what I've got going so far. Buttons always work for me. So let me find my buttons. The other thing I often include is little bits of doilies, which I could I'd have to create some doily scraps because I tend to use it all up when I use a doily. I do have a couple of gold ones, but again, I think they're a bit blingy. Got some colored doilies here that I wasn't sure how I was going to use them, but I think they're too bright. These ones that I got from Wanda will work, I think. And again, these aren't technically scraps, but I think that they're going to help pull everything together. So I've got these pink ones I really like. They'll work for both, but I think I would like to use the blue ones on this one and the pink one on that one. I can't wait to use these coral colored ones. Maybe on a strip with these. So as hard as it might feel at first, I just cut these into quarters or even smaller to get the most use out of them, and also because I just need small pieces here. When you see how I'm going to use them, you'll get what I mean. I could use it to make a focal point, and I still might do that when I go to use these. I might find a doily and make a focal point, like either right in the middle or just up from the center or down from the center. But for right now, I'm just trying to make this prettier. So I think I like them poking out from under things. So I'm just going to kind of glue the solid part that's sort of towards the center. And here's where I really don't mind some angles, because obviously you're going to get some curved edges from your doily. And just glue that down, sticking out from underneath that stamp. Definitely want one sticking out from underneath this rose stamp. I'll just lift an edge here and stick this in here. And you can still see the paper bag through it. Just a little bit around the top edge there. Just stick that down. It's hard when your fingers start to get gluey. Certainly not one to go through a crafting session with clean fingers. Get glue everywhere. That's why you always see me rubbing my fingers. Get the glue to ball up and go off. I noticed it in my videos. I don't notice it in real life, but when I watch my videos, usually watch them the night before they go out to make sure there's nothing too goofy in it. And that sort of has started to bother me when I see myself doing that. I don't know if it bothers you guys, but I know it doesn't take much to annoy people sometimes, so I hope it doesn't annoy you. And then kind of focusing these around the stamps, but they don't have to be. Like, I could certainly just stick one in here. And that just pretties it up a bit. Got a loose edge there, so I'll use that loose edge. Sorry, I just had to go for a damp cloth. It's just too sticky. So I have bath towels. When they start to get ratty, I cut them up into squares, and we use them for all sorts of things. We use them for face cloths and stuff like that, but they're great for rags, for cleaning your hands and stuff like that too. And hubby's a contractor, so it's always good to have rags. I'd rather him use those rags. Sometimes I see out in his shop, I'll go out and there will be one of my Norwex cloths, which he doesn't understand that they cost me over $10 for one cloth. And he's using it to like wipe silicone off of something. Silicone doesn't come off. Just makes my blood boil. Use the old bath towel cloths. Stan Rogers is going to get some lacy bits. If anyone knows who Stan Rogers is, let me know. I have no idea. Must be a Canadian singer, but I don't know what kind of music it is. That glue stick is very goopy today. So I haven't used it all, so I'm going to put these for now in my scrap thing. If I haven't used them by the end of the day, I'll probably put them back in this drawer where I got them from, because that's all doilies. But today I just want to keep them handy. And then we were going to look at buttons next. Put these other scraps back in the box here. So this is just an assortment of all different colors of buttons. I found that digging through that deeper container was difficult. So I thought I would try this method. I think I'm going to put a few buttons near each postage stamp. Some purple ones. Don't really have purple in any of these. Pink ones. I usually do trios of things. There's purple in that stamp, so I definitely want a purple one there. Probably more up here. And then maybe with a white button as an accent. And I try to do 3 different sizes as well as 3 different colors when I can. I just think it's more interesting to have the variation in size and color. That one's kind of a yellowy tinge. It might look good on the pink. There's another yellow one. Greenish yellow. Can do a beige one. Beige and white. And he's got some real aqua skin tone. Actually, this one would look good with him instead of that purple, except not against the blue. There. Green would be good here too. And actually a red one would work there, though that's the only, it's not a bright red, so I think I'll go with that one. And then over here we've got the yellow. We could do a red one here. I've never been big into red, but it's good as an accent color. It's just not my, it's almost a pink, which is okay. We got the bright pink down here. And then an orangey color would work there too. I don't have a lot of orange. And then this one definitely could use a beige button. Oh, that one's very white. I could use a green one, and I don't have, well, my green buttons I put away after St. Patrick's Day, and I should probably have thrown a few in here. This green is a color that sometimes we want as an accent. Kind of ignoring my beavers over here. They didn't get a doily. We shall have to remedy that. I don't want to wreck this edge. Very gently lift it up. And then find them some buttons too. And then 3 buttons for up here. And here I've got purple and yellow that I can pull out of the postage stamp for colors. So that not only got rid of some scraps, but it got rid of some buttons, which we all have thousands and thousands of, and if you don't, we can do a swap. I have literally coffee jars full of buttons in my craft room. And I think I will use the 3-in-1 because it's probably the quickest. And I'm just gonna do, this will be quick once I get it started. 3 little dots of it. And then use my tweezers to put those in place. And same thing here. My glue bottle needs a little attention. Just going to use a piece of paper because it's handy and in abundance. Move these aside. Same thing, give it 3 little globs. To create a little triangle of globs. Did that one. And there's nothing wrong with leaving some edges sort of sticking up at this point. You might want to come back and slide something in underneath them. If you're making a bunch of them up and you're just going to store them especially, you never know how you're going to want to use them. And you might not want to put the buttons on if you're going to be storing them because you might want them to be flatter. I'm just gonna stick some glue underneath that stamp because I'm putting stuff on top of it. And that needs a little bit more. So that one's done. And then this one, do the same thing. I just sent Wanda's journal back to her yesterday and let her know. And she tells me that she's sending me back another signature to do another journal with. So I'm glad that I challenged her that way last year. It was a little later than this last year, I think, when we did our first, or the swap where I sent her the signature. It must have been just after Easter because I got those Easter napkins. And then we did a swap and I sent her the signature with the Easter bunny napkins decoupaged on in a couple spots. And so we decided to do a swap for our journals. And I don't know, I wasn't sure how she felt about it. I think she was maybe a little bit hesitant or intimidated or, you know, a little shy to share at first, but now she's come in and challenged me back. So that's awesome. I think this is going to be fun. And I don't think there's a theme this time so far. It'll just be using the same pages and seeing what we each come up with, which I think is fun. There. So 2 belly bands, not a lot of scraps used. I still have 2 great big bins, so it might be time to decorate some envelopes or something. But I like the way that those turned out. And so now this one has the double-sided tape. So obviously you can take the backing off the double-sided tape and just stick it down on the edge of a page or whatever you want to do with it. Or you can take that double-sided tape and stick it down onto a piece of cardstock, and then you have a belly band. But I do like the way that this sort of undulates along the edges, maybe not so much in here, but I think it's a nice relaxed casual look. This one is a little more blocky, but you know, it is what it is. Everything has its own personality. Even though I did them in the same session. Now this is the one with the receipt on the back. So again, if you're going to use it as a belly band, you might just want a piece of cardstock to stiffen it up. You're not going to see this, but if you're just gluing it down to a page, you just glue it down to the page. You could also sort of chop it up and make smaller snippets with it, but the idea is that it's a larger element. I think mostly for belly bands and page edges is what I think of using these for. You could use it as a pocket if you had sturdy stuff along the edge, or you could put it on top of a pocket. Maybe split it in half and then you've got 2 pockets within the same journal that coordinate or something like that. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with how those turned out. So I encourage you to play along. I guess I'm going to tag Wanda in it and see if she wants to bust some scraps and have some fun with us. So that hashtag was #giveascrap. So I'll be sure to include that in my video description, as well as when I post it on Facebook for you all to see. Then I will make sure I put that hashtag. I think that's how it works. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. But most of all, have a great day and happy crafting and scrap busting.